Listen, African men get a bad rap for not being able to be romantic or emotional. The primary thing that we've learned as we were growing up is to be providers. And that is our way of showing emotion and love. And I stand with that.
Yeah, African men just need to do better. I think that you guys have gotten lazy, especially when you're with your own kind. So I think it's about time we stop blaming our parents and history and culture and, what we were thought or what the Bible says about you guys being the providers and actually show. Google is free. Google how to be romantic in ChatGPT and learn certain things and bring it. You guys are not doing what you need to do on that front, and you have to do better, period.
African men have been moving the needle. But listen, in the episode, we're going to talk about African-American men and African men and Caucasian men and see how they all match to that, right? They're all romantic.
Just do better. Be romantic.
Anxious, nothing. A little bit anxious, nothing.
Welcome to Take Two. I am Mylan.
Kate.
And we're back. Today, we are talking, are African men more romantic than African American men? Well, I'll start off for the guys.
Perfect.
What I'll say is this. If you've been around me, I'm Americanized, right? So, I play both sides of the fence, but I'm 100% Liberian. So I'll say this. Nobody starts harder and goes and gets that girl harder than an African man. The level of flexing that's done prior to, probably the rent's paid, probably some credit card bills paid, probably even got a new car. But the thing that happens is just as fast as it starts, some guys it tapers off pretty quick. I think that's where my American brothers get better at because it's a little bit more quantitative, a little bit slower, and then it's long term. And then it's like, hey, we're doing this. Hey, we're doing that. What do you think?
I think it depends. Right. And okay. I think for the African men, if you asked me this question maybe 5 years ago, easy. African-American men are more romantic than African men. That would have been the response. But I think for the African men, and you mentioned this a little bit, I think for the African men, what I've seen just based on history is that love is more of, what would be the right word? I always
more of the action.
Yeah, or like a silent devotion.
Yeah, and like I think what we're doing.
Right, and growing up, too, what we did see is that the love, we see it in the I guess in the offerings, right? Because if he's paying the bills and if he's providing and making sure that you have a roof over your head and he's doing what he needs to do to maintain the household,
he's romantic.
That is the love. That is
romantic.
The romance. Whereas the African American, there is the intentionality to make sure that the affirmations, the roses, the text messages, the making sure that you not only see it, but you also feel it. But the African man just wants to make sure that I have to be a provider. And as long as I'm providing, I'm loving you the right way. And so we have to find a healthy balance because, as the saying goes, would you rather, I guess, cry in a Rolls Royce or be happy or be happy. No, cry in a Rolls Royce or be happy in a Toyota type of thing. Be
happy in a Toyota.
And the thing is, you have to pick the sweet spot because if your man can provide and give you the words of affirmations and making sure that you know you're loved, I love you, I appreciate you, what do you do?
So I'll say this in regards to when it comes to African men, right? So I'll speak from that perspective first. Yeah, I definitely see the provider aspect because the provider aspect, so I think it's twofold. Immigrant coming to, let's base it on the States. So their thing is to learn how to stay afloat here versus all of those other things. So it's becoming a master of this new environment. Whereas you're dealing with someone who's already born from here. So they've had a chance, like uninterruption in their family to see, mom, grandma, everybody grow up with, uncle, dad, all in the same system. With us, we ended up seeing this in different phases if we were fortunate to have some of our family make it over. So I think what we ended up learning as an African man is how you provide for your family. So in this new wave that we're in, it is about being a bit more intentional and showing and feeling that love with this new wave of African men. And you're seeing this across the board, whether it's the lavish birthday parties, lavish gifts, it's whatever it is to show and feel differently versus just being a traditional provider.
Yeah, I just think we African men are now wired that way, that if they're providing, that is the love. They don't need to do anything else extra. And I think, like I said, from our parents, our great-grandparents, it's just, and because they were believers, that's what the Bible says too, that the man will be the provider, will work hard and do all of these things to make sure that he provides for his household. And so I think sometimes in pursuit of that, and it's just, all of the work that goes into making sure that you're doing all of these things to maintain your household, it takes away from other things, and it doesn't make it right, but it does take away, and that's something that needs to be acknowledged. And they didn't teach them that. So, I think if I didn't, so when I land,
because you were going for a long time, I thought the flight.
Yeah, well, we're almost there, but I do think that some people are getting better. Some African men are getting better. And I think with over time and education and the things that you're around, the people that you're around and what you do see, because being around Liberians, I'm saying you guys aren't the best, but when it comes to affection,
we are phenomenal.
When it comes to
phenomenal.
When it comes to
island,
affection,
I'm on an island. I'm phenomenal.
Well, what I will say is that I thought this was something that you were, and we've beaten this word to death, but I have to use it, that you were being intentional about when we first got together, that maybe this is something you weren't doing in your previous phase. So maybe you were trying to, do all of these things to make up for what you feel like the things that you lacked or didn't do in your previous phase. But as I continue to, immerse myself and be around your family, I do feel like this is something that your family, they're really good at that. They're very affectionate. They just like to show appreciation. Well, I thought you were just covering up. But I will say that there's the percentage in everything that we talk about. So I will say maybe if we're saying 90% of African men aren't affectionate, there's that 10%. And you're definitely in that 10%.
Definitely.
Right?
Every day when I see you, there's some type of affection. That
Every
is moment.
Right.
Like how much was I telling you before we even came to filming? Like, I love this outfit on you. Fellas, look, at the end of the day, the hard work is securing the woman. That's the hard work. But the even harder work is the full-fledged of the maintenance, right? Once you secure the lady, and I've said this before, right? We're the hunters, we're the providers. Once you have that in, don't think it just stops at because I paid the mortgage. Appreciation is very important. I feel that it's easy to just exist with someone, right? And we see this especially in younger couples because we want so much. We're looking for progression. We want to do better. And all it becomes is we're work partners. We're not really investing in a life partnership. It's almost like we're treating the relationship on what can we get out of it today. We have to realize the relationship has to get establishment and go the long way. So going back to African men and African American men, I think that finally there's a merge where it's the same. But I still urge my African brothers, stop overdoing it when you first get with the lady. Don't set certain precedents sometimes that just aren't realistic, that you aren't able to keep up.
But what do you mean overdoing? What are they doing?
Sure. So sometimes the overdoing is, and I'm just going to use an accent. So I don't know if this is Nigerian or Ghanaian. I've got a place for you. I just met you 3 days ago and you are my wife for my life. Let me give you a house. Stop it. Please stop it, bro. Because that sets an upside down precedent and everyone knows and hears it. And I've heard it. You've heard it. Oh, get you an African man. Listen, I am an African man. And I'm sure as hell one who still would have to vet you. If I was single, of course, I would still need to vet you. I'm not just getting you a house off of GP. That's crazy.
But to get you an African man is coming from a specific group.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about the housewives here. We're talking about reality and how real relationships are formed and made and how people live realistically. So, but the truth of the matter is the African men aren't going to their African woman when they meet them today and offer them a house and a soft, quote unquote, life. They do that with those other women. They do that with those other women.
I think that's done across the board.
And most of them are married when they're offering that.
Well, it's to keep people, in play.
And that's what. So if we're talking about realistically, in a household that is realistic, that somebody's really trying to build with someone, the offering isn't just right off, as you like to say, right off the rip.
Yeah, well, it usually is.
Yeah. So
because that's the hook, and that's the line. That's how it goes, and that's where I think some men.
But that's not even affection.
But that's what I'm saying. Some men get that confused with being romantic. It's the act of service of doing. You can't confuse that with being romantic. Being romantic is thinking like, hey, her birthday is coming up. Now, and I tell people all the time, it doesn't have to be expensive or expansive. It needs to be thoughtful. What is thoughtful? Thoughtful could be something as simple as like a vintage picture of like a first date that you guys went on and a nice card written underneath it. It's showing the person, we can't do that? Like a nice vintage picture?
Sure, that's
like,
your story.
Eliminate the fancy gifts right now. But it's just being thoughtful. And then ultimately, you work your way up to some of those fancy things. And this is what you need to show being romantic. Guys as a whole, I'm sorry, I'm gonna fly the plane a little bit longer.
I'm waiting.
Guys as a whole do struggle with being romantic. And I think this is specifically, I can talk to the African man, but I'm saying to the African American man as well, it's not just being with the woman and just saying I'm here just to be here and because we got kids together so I don't need to appreciate or show her love. And that's the same thing with the African man too. So men, let's come together in the center and focus on what does romantic look like to you? Being romantic does not look like the next man's romantic. This is where it comes into identifying who you're with and who you're dealing with, because you know what romanticism looks like to them.
Yeah, and African men, because the thing is, and as I said, for the other cultures, the Black American, Caucasians, they're a little bit better with the words and what we would say, oh, that's so romantic. He's so romantic.
But I don't think there's a definitive better, babe. I disagree because you can ask every culture and you'll hear that. This is what I'm saying.
What do you hear?
We hear that, oh, he doesn't care. He just takes me for granted. Oh, I'm just here. And this is the African men, and I'll speak to that.
But when it comes to the words of affirmation, the I love you text, I say you're good at that. But if we're basing it off,
I'm not good. I'm actually great, phenomenal.
Okay. You're great,
stunning,
okay,
amazing. Jeez,
but
I'm gonna look for other superlatives. Go on.
African men, it's just not a reality, and like I said, it's based on the upbringing and what they did see. Mm-hmm. They care more about. A lot of them, and unless you have the more modern ones who now want to talk about 50-50 and other things because things are changing. But for the most part, they know they have to be the providers and that is the focus. And they feel like if I'm providing, I'm dedicated to the family and I'm providing and I'm making sure that we're stable when we have everything that we need in this household. That's me offering, that's my love to you. And we shouldn't ask for anything else. But as we say, enibiaba, evolution, people, their things. We learn everything that's trendy and not certain things. Like, okay, well, I can actually text her, I love you. Oh, I appreciate you. Oh, today your birthday is coming up. I was a little bit thoughtful. When we say thoughtful, not what you might think is thoughtful. What that person is going to truly like and love is what I'm going to be thoughtful about.
I also think that plays into like how men are also taught not to be emotional too. So I think men, I think men as a whole, definitely African men are taught not to be emotional. So for us, the gauging of what is actual that makes sense. I'm saying, yeah, because it took me a while to understand what being emotional versus showing like love emotion was. It took me a while because
love for you guys is the physical act.
Physical act in the context of?
You're an adult. You're almost 50. I don't need to explain that to you.
Listen, you
the physical contact. Okay, well, I'm saying the contact is what you guys is just, oh, I'm working. That is me loving you. And then, just hop on top of you. That's love.
Wow.
There's nothing else to it. And sometimes,
you know what? The people are going to get this perception you aiming that shot at me.
I'm talking about African men.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about
this is not a myelin issue.
It's not a myelin issue, but a lot of African men, and if we're going to be honest, that is why sometimes a lot of the women feel like they need to date outside of their race. They need to try different things because they feel like they're not getting. See, the African man is quick to go on the other side, as I mentioned, and do these offerings. Because, Lord, I didn't get offered a house. Oh, I want to date you. So here, take a house, take a car, what? No. So they're doing it for the other parts, but not their own. So what is going on? So you have it in you to do it, but you're choosing not to do it because we're a little bit more
familiarity. Familiarity. That's what it boils down to.
So it's not about how y'all grew up because you know how to do it.
But no, it is about how we grew up because it's not something that we saw. So we jump over certain steps and it's like, well, I'm comfortable with you, so I'll be emotional with you to this extent. But we're not going to like. I remember coming up and seeing all of this lovey-dovey stuff in movies, and I was like, damn, people do that? Like I said, I love my parents to death, but that's not something that I saw from them regularly. It's not something that I saw.
And I agree.
When I got older, got into relationships, I 100% was rusty on being intentional and sentimental. So this was something I had to learn in older ages. So now it's, and I'll say this, right? I'm always advocate for the fellas, but one thing I will say is it boils down to making a choice. Are you interested in being romantic? And this is in every group. It's Caucasian. They have their flaws. African-American guys have their flaws. African men have their flaws. And it all boils down to choices. But I will say the African man, look, across the board, we need to do better. And something as simple as and something that I started doing in my 20s is if I go out, I see a girl and I'm looking at her and she looks nice, I'm going to offer to buy her a drink. Some African dudes were kind of like,
but why are you offering to buy the drink?
Because that opens it up. That opens it up. That's a hook. Some African guys, and I specifically talk about my own, the Liberians, they'd be like, oh, I'm not buying her a drink. Oh, what she think? And it's like some of the things that matter, like, oh, she's going to think she has one up on me. Those are the things that I would speak for some African men that keep them, to the chest.
Yeah.
But the romantic ability is 100% there.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not, and like I said, as you get older, you just have to look, above and beyond the surface and dig deeper. And I said, if you asked me this maybe 5-10 years ago, it's just automatically, yeah, African men are all of these things. But it's the upbringing. And we were thought to believe that if the man is a provider, that's all he needs to really be.
Yeah. We're going to call that period the BM period. Before Mylan.
the period where and they believe that because I saw that growing up too. Like my grandparents, my grandfather was very he was a provider. Like he'll get up in the morning, go to the farm, do what he has to do. My grandma is there, but all she's doing is just preparing the food, the crops that he's bringing in, making sure the kids are okay, taking care of the house, and the man is out there hunting, sweating, farming, doing all the hard work to bring it home and make sure that
I got a serious question though. Real serious. When he came home, did she meet him by the door?
No. She was busy in the kitchen.
See, that's a problem.
She was busy in the kitchen. But that's a part of, as we learn and continue to grow and evolve, like I said, if that's important to your partner, meeting him at the door, then that's something that over time you have to learn. Like I do that a lot more now.
Well, in the context of a lot more, but that's another story. We'll do that on one of our B-side things. Let's just finish on this.
If we're saying being romantic to you, that's part of the bucket, then I have to dig deeper and say, oh, the door, somebody's at the door. Okay, it's him. Let me put the chicken away. Let me wash my hands. Let me go over there and let me, greet him
but your
properly.
Your bucket, I don't know. It feels like your bucket keeps getting wider.
Yeah.
Or deeper. I don't know, but it's whichever way.
But I'm saying as we're getting older and as we're learning so much, and information is free nowadays. If you Google is free, just type it out. So instead of learning about trendy things and how to dance these dance moves and things like that, if you want certain things, certain areas in your life and in your household to grow and evolve, type those words into Google and learn and immerse yourself in it so that you can really understand certain things and be a part of that culture. Don't just say, well, I didn't grow up, seeing my parents hug. So I'm not a hugger. How long am I going to blame my parents for not hugging?
True.
At this point, it's a choice.
100%.
That, okay, well, I just don't want to hug you.
Yeah.
And then that's the bottom line. But I'm not going to say, well, we didn't grow up like that. Okay, now what? So choose to invest in the things that you see are important to your partner. And if roses are important, we talked about this for Valentine's Day, right? Where you can't say, oh, well, what about all the things? That would be, actually, this is a perfect example. Like you saying, oh, well, I make sure that, the house, the bills are paid and the mortgage is paid and X, Y, and Z. So on Valentine's Day, that's an example. So on Valentine's Day, if I don't bring anything in, no, two different things. Because you ate yesterday, but you're going to eat today. You ate this morning, you're going to make sure you have lunch and dinner. So there's two separate things. Make sure that you acknowledge everything that's happening. And I don't care if my birthday is February 16th and Valentine's is when? On the 14th? 2 different days. 2 different days. So if you're being intentional and being romantic, you are going to make sure that I feel it, whatever that means. If I got a roses on Valentine's Day, then maybe that card that you're talking about is for my birthday and whatever else that you have planned.
So you're saying that what's important is the individualization, and that's what you think where some African men were probably slacking at.
Yeah, and I think it will be different for every household and every woman. I like to know that you're putting a lot of thought into the things that you're doing for me. And so for me, I think that whatever my definition is of being romantic, and me loving African men, I don't think it's tough when we talk about dating outside of that group. I mean, it's just tough. That's not something I've been interested in exploring. I want to make sure that you are the right one for me. So I have to force it down your throat if that's what I have to do to make sure that you're being romantic and you're doing those things. And I just think overall, the 90%, they have to do better and make sure that they are prioritizing certain things for their woman, because we see them do it when they decide to date outside.
Well, I'll say this, fellas, I think that we have moved in the right direction overall. What I think is establishing it more consistently. I think that men are being more conscious in celebrating their spouses. I think African men are definitely doing a better job. Like I said, it's over time. It's gradual development, understanding what it is.
Okay.
I think the guys are on the right track, but you can always learn. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, Google is free. So do the research and make sure you're romantic and stop blaming your parents. They're tired.
But it's how we grew up. We could end this episode just going back and forth word for word like that. You know that, right?
Thank you for joining us. We did miss you guys, but we're back.
PG culture, full effect.
You cut me off. You didn't want to jump in. Now you're jumping.
PG culture, full effect.
See you next time. Thanks for joining.
Take 2.